Good afternoon. My name is Casey Bader. I'm a vice president here at Handel Information Technologies, and I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, where we're going to be talking about how technology, specifically our RiteTrack software, can help inform better outcomes for domestic violence and victim advocacy programs. I hope you find today's webinar informative. If so, we'd love to continue a conversation with you. I'll share contact information at the end of this presentation, at the end of the demonstration as well. And once again, thank you. Let's go ahead and get started. A little bit about Handle Information Technologies. We're just entering our 26th year of business. We've been providing systems and solutions for judicial and social service agencies for 25 years. We work primarily with tribal entities, but also work with some county and state governments. We're currently serving, it's now over 65 tribes, but we don't want to brag. Our modules were developed with the input from tribes. So what we've done is we've developed standard modules like the DVVA module that we'll see today, is take any kind of federal reporting requirements, particularly for grant reporting that we can find and that our customers are required to submit, as well as best practices from multiple implementations, and distill those down into a standard module that is a customizable platform but is designed to meet most of the needs of domestic violence programs. In addition to the system, Handle provides implementation services. Programs that work with Handle will work with a dedicated project manager through the configuration and customization of the system. We provide training and then get great feedback on our support. And of course, very important for programs such as yours, data security, and through multiple levels, including RiteTrack's interface security, you can ensure that people only have access to that information which they should. A little bit about RiteTrack, the platform. As I mentioned, it's a customizable platform. So keep that in mind. What you see here today is all standard. It's out of the box. If you have additional needs, those can be added. That might be different fields or full forms or reports. Keep that in mind as we go through the demonstration. RiteTrack is web-based and designed to be operated on mobile devices, so tablets, obviously laptops in the field, as well as phones can all access and utilize the RiteTrack system. We offer cloud hosting in a private database, or the tribe can host on premises. That may be a question more for IT, but that is important to some. I mentioned the data security, and that can be role based, and that is it be based upon your role in the program, or perhaps your role in a case. You'll have different access depending on what your role is and what you've defined for those roles. Each user has their own dashboard that they can configure, so the things that are most important for them to see when they first log into the system will be presented to them. And we also have a form builder that makes it very easy for us to, RiteTrack being customizable. One of the most common customizations that we do is the documents that you generate and you provide to your clients, families, and children. We want to eliminate that paper. If not eliminate the paper, eliminate it coming from somewhere other than RiteTrack. And so we have a tool that allows us to very easily generate those documents. We're going to be focusing on domestic violence victim advocacy module today, and the things that we're going to look at include case plans, which is kind of the hub around which all services rotate, housing assistance and shelter services that may be provided to the victims you serve, referrals to outside services, and then for your staff, tracking their hotline calls as well as trainings, a couple of different ways to track the community outreach that you're performing. And we have several reports that are designed to fulfill the statistical, and that is primarily Section C of the Office for Violence Against Women's Semi-Annual Progress Report. For those that submit that and maybe grantees, very important. While the domestic violence module is often implemented alone, RiteTrack does offer several other standard modules, and one of our strengths is integrating programs. And we're able to do that even with domestic violence programs because of our security and ensuring that information is kept confidential to programs or users when it should be, but then other information that is agreed to be shared can be. The other standard modules we offer include tribal court, Indian child welfare, enrollment, treatment courts, treatment services, financial services, tribal TANF. We have a new module for tribal police and another for employment and training programs. Keep that in mind if you're thinking about potentially linking your program with other client serving programs that the tribe administers and potentially sharing data with them. So our goal for our clients and informing better outcomes for their clients is through comprehensive client and case management, outcome reporting, which includes federal and custom reports, equals better outcomes for your clients because you have a system that allows you to better manage your information and deliver information to you about what's working and what's not. I'll put this slide back up at the end of the webinar, contact information. I'd be glad to hear from you directly, or there's also our generic information at handelit.com email or our toll-free line. And again, I'll put this back up at the end of the demonstration. Let's go ahead and dive right into RiteTrack. I mentioned it is web-based. Any modern browser can use the system. There's nothing to be installed on your computers. And I just need to access the website, which I've done here. You can see I have sites for every different module that is available in RiteTrack. And I've set this to remember me. And once I've logged in, I'm presented, as I mentioned, with my desktop. Now, I'm logged as an administrator, and I'm kind of acting as a supervisor as well as a caseworker. But for me, it's a supervisor, but I want to see his caseload. And so we only have 8 clients. There's not a lot of data in our demo system. You can see the number that have been assigned to each staff member, and that we have 3 that are unassigned. I can take action on those. And I can do that very easily by going down to the breakout of clients and going and seeing that Ashley Sullivan has no assigned staff member. And I can click on Ashley's name and it will take me directly to her record. So eliminating some of the needed searches and clicking in RiteTrack, we embed hyperlinks. And so if I want to go to Ashley's record, I can click or right click on her record, open her record in a new tab, and go and work with that as needed, and then go back to my dashboard and review other information or go on with what I'm going to be doing for the day. I also want to point out that the dashboard and most RiteTrack reports are multiple parameter. And so in this case, my parameters include as of a particular date and time, what was our caseload report. I can drill down into the status of the cases, as well as individual staff members. I can access my dashboard anytime by clicking on the RiteTrack label up in the upper left corner. And beneath that, we have our search functionality. I can search across all data in the system or just a particular category of information. And once RiteTrack is searched and I found the record that I'm looking for, to work with that, I would favorite this person, or I can click on the view details, but I want to favorite this person. And now that I've clicked the star and favorited them, when I go to, and will be here soon, my desktop or favorites pane, I'm going to find Ashley's record and I can go work with the entirety of whatever I need here. And when I'm no longer working with her record, then I can take it off of my desktop by simply unfavoriting her. Beneath the search functionality, I don't want to do that anymore, thank you. There's 3 sections that users will have access to within RiteTrack. The first, excuse me, is the staff record, and we'll come back to this. The next section is our actions tab, And from here, I can create a new organization, person, training, outreach activity, or community education event. I have a demonstration person set up already, but if I were to create a new, I would just enter and you're able to define what is required information here and save the record. And then I'd be able to favorite it and start working with it. We also have access to our global or statistical reports. And once we see where all the data is coming from, we'll look at the reports and how they pull it out of your system. Where staff will spend the majority of their time is going to be in their favorites or desktop view. And here is where you store, let me go back, the people, community education events, organizations, cases, and community trainings that I'm currently working with. RiteTrack's a person-centric system, so everything really revolves around the person record. Every time a person has a new case, we don't recreate that person record. We just add a case. There may be a one to several relationship there. Keep that in mind. No data is ever intended to be entered into RiteTrack twice. We don't ever want to duplicate that, which is why we associate, affiliate, and relate things within the system. Going to Amanda Thornburn's record here, my demonstration person, we have demographics about our clients, any alerts that are important to know. For instance, that this is a sexual assault victim, offender, owns a weapon, medical condition, gang affiliation. It's a drop-down list. You're going to define what's in your drop-down list. These are things that are going to be, and it may also be a desktop dashboard tile so that you know any alerts for any of your clients. Under background information, we have aliases, which may be a true alias, tribal name, maiden name, any history of military service, including their service number, the branch, and rank, more information about their specialty coded unit and their discharge type, as well as the date range that they were in the military. The individual's race and ethnicity, and the reason that we have this is not just a demographic, is because people's what they attest to or their race may change over time depending on what they're recognizing. And so you can have date ranged ethnicity or race depending on what they're identifying as. Relationships link the records of two people in the system, or in this case, I have several linked, but it is reciprocal. It knows that, okay, Amanda is Janelle's daughter. And so if I go to Amanda Thornburg, who has her own record in RiteTrack, I'll find this relationship there as well and see that Janelle is guardian, emergency contact, currently lives with this person, or we could flag this individual for no contact. And then we have the date ranges of these relationships as they may change over time. And lastly, under background, we have tribal affiliations. What tribe, what is your affiliation? If you're enrolled, the enrollment number and start and end dates for those affiliations. Trying to give a kind of a comprehensive 360-degree view of your client and where they're at. We include contact information, of course, that's addresses, emails, and phone numbers, but we have two sections for that because we have another for confidential contact information. Rather than dealing with address types or other ways of securing out confidential contact information, we've just set up a separate section for that, which makes it very easy to, if you're sharing information or if you have, for instance, intake worker who shouldn't have access to that, they may have access to their general but not confidential addresses, emails, or phone numbers. And you can see under the mail, rather, showing whether it's safe to send mail, safe to send email, and safe to call and or leave a message. Documents and notes are very standard functionality in RiteTrack, and we'll find these throughout the system. If I'm on a person, I'm on a staff record. If I'm on a case or a community education event, I'm going to find documents and I'm going to find notes. Documents allow you to import things that you've stored electronically into any RiteTrack record. So that might be things like a birth certificate, a digital photo, which I have here is the profile picture for Amanda, or something that you've received in hard copy that you've scanned and have saved now. That may be a signature document, for instance. While every piece of functionality in RiteTrack has a narrative available to it, we also have a place for just catch-all notes. When that occurred, who it was created by, and I can add general notes there in addition to the narrative that are under the different categories of information, like protection orders. And let me take the opportunity here, I didn't previously, to point out how RiteTrack functions. And every screen works in the same way. If I'm on addresses, documents, or protection orders, then I have action buttons above my records that allow me to add a new record or set, create, or change notifications on a record of this type. If I was to add a create notification, anytime a new protection order was added to Amanda's record, I would be notified of that. And I can receive notifications in line through RiteTrack or as text or email messages. A change notification I would set if I wanted to know if this particular record was changed in some way, then I'd add a change notification, and if this particular record was changed, I'd be notified of that. We also do custom notifications that do things like remind you of upcoming appointments or when things are overdue. Looking at protection orders, kind of already saw these, but I didn't describe it. What type of order is this? For whom is it for and against? Requested, granted, and expiration dates. And then our victim advocacy cases, which I can favorite or I can access directly through Amanda's record by clicking on the detail button. It will take me to this case record, and you see here I have the individual, their client number coming from the victimization section, their primary victimization, with the intake date and the current status of this case and client. Under reports, we have a safety plan printout that allows you to print out the safety case plan, any other service plan you've created in the plan interface, and provide that to your clients to take with them. Again, we're trying to keep everything paperless, but knowing that's difficult sometimes when providing documentation to clients. You can print out of RiteTrack, of course, as well. The ever-present documents, which we just saw. And then our goals for this particular case and client. In this case, we have a transportation goal to find reliable transportation option to or from work. And it is currently pending. You can see the priority is immediate and the creation and due dates, but the current status is pending. I can edit the summary information about this goal here. And then I can click here and view the action items that have been identified and who's going to take those. Amanda's advocate is going to contact used car dealerships, and Amanda's to browse for used cars on the Facebook Marketplace. Those are action items for this goal. And we're generating a safety plan. The action item includes identifying a location to keep an extra set of clothes, money, etc. So these can be a full safety plan or a plan that includes a safety plan in this case, or a case plan. RiteTrack just knows that it's a structure, and the structure says you are able to identify goals, and then RiteTrack can filter down based upon that goal to the goal action types that you may enter for that. Housing assistance is documented in citing what type of service was provided under housing assistance, and the cost. Again, ever-present notes, except here we do have a different note types, which may create default text depending on the type of note that it is. What the default text button will do is insert default text. I don't recall if we have any here. We do not, which means it deleted all my text. But if you have a format for notes, then RiteTrack can insert that format based upon the type of client contact that it was and prompt your users for that particular information. Referrals that you make to outside service providers, including when they were referred, to what organization were they referred, and for what service. Documentation of any secondary victims in the case and their role and relationship. Direct services that your program has provided. When was that provided? What type of service was it? Was this to the primary victim, other secondary or child, or other as you may categorize, and the time spent providing that service? Similar to housing assistance, shelter services is tracked, only a little bit different here in that it does track what type of course shelter service this was, the number of family members, not including the victim or survivor, who are going to be housed, and the number of nights. And I can associate that with an organization record in the system. And then the system will automatically calculate for reporting purposes the number of bed nights based upon the family members and number of nights to be stayed. Status history documents the status of this case. You can see that Amanda is currently receiving services. If I wanted to update that, I would do that here. User profiles is where you identify what staff members are assigned to this case and what their role is. And finally, victimizations document the victimizations that are being investigated or treated for here, the relationship of the offender to the victim, whether it's the primary victimization and the offender, and of course, narrative available about this particular victimization. So that's our clients and cases, the majority of our case management, but there's also staff management and community outreach available in RiteTrack and important for reporting. So to get back to my staff record, I'll click on RiteTrack. It will take me back to my dashboard. And then I have my own record here, summary information about me as a user, my supervisor, start and end dates of employment. Report available is my current caseload client list, which again is interactive if I wanted to go to any of these records. My contact information, the dashboard tiles that I've defined, and then hotline calls I've received, what type of service was provided, time spent, and a description. The documents and notes, which I said we'd see everywhere, and indeed we have. Trainings that the staff member has attended, what type of training was it, time that they were trained, and when it occurred. And then direct victim outreach activities, what type of outreach was this, and the time spent. Compiling that information for reporting on the activity of your staff members. And then as far as community outreach goes, we have community education events, which are available under my favorites. Those and community trainings are similar. We have documents that is available to import if we have, for instance, the flyers, other documents that we had for promoting the event, the type of people in attendance and the number in attendance, and the topics of education. Going back to my favorites, trainings, very similar, where we track content areas, the individuals who are trained, but separating them now as this is a training and not a community outreach reach to the number of tribal as well as non-tribal individuals in this role who are trained, and then our ever-present documents. Finally, one last, before we get into our reporting, I want to point out that organizations in RiteTrack have their own records. So those are going to be outside service providers, police departments, hospitals, schools, hotels, shelter services. They'll have their own record. So you have their contact information and they can be associated with the services that you're providing to your clients. Our philosophy in RiteTrack is if it's standard functionality, there should be a report that summarizes or makes statistics out of that. And that is indeed the case with domestic violence module. This one is a little more targeted in that this was developed to satisfy the reporting needs of, again, the Office on Violence Against Women Semi-Annual Progress Report. Many of you are familiar with this. We're talking about Section C function areas. And the reports available include things like community education statistics, where it shows the number of events, who attended, as well as a breakout of these community education events that I can look up. Just some examples, demographic statistics on the individuals that your program is serving. Housing assistance that's been provided. I'm not going to go through every one, but the services, direct services that your staff have provided. And again, these are over a date range, may have additional parameters. And then a report, just statistics on the individuals you're serving and why, or if you are not. So again, any standard functionality in RiteTrack has an associated report that summarizes and provides statistics about that particular record. Some of that may be used for the OVW Semi-Annual Progress Report or for other grant reporting needs or for reporting to council or administration on the actions, efforts, and outcomes of your program. That was everything I wanted to show today. I wanted to keep it within a half hour, and we were able to do so. I'll put up this last slide again with contact information. We'd love to hear from you. Oh, maybe I will. There we are. Either at info@handelit.com, contact myself directly, or through our toll-free line. If you're interested in learning more about RiteTrack, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for your time today. Have a wonderful afternoon and happy holidays.